comes from the realization that somehow Muslims seem to be lagging behind all the other civilizations. Certainly they were behind the Europeans. And there was a time when all Muslim countries were colonized by the Europeans. And yet, we know historically, the Muslims were able to set up a great civilization. It was such a great civilization that it left behind the Europeans. Indeed, the Europeans were living in what they themselves describe as the Dark Ages. They were very superstitious people, they were totally uneducated, they were very backwards in all fields. But the Muslims were very progressive. They were very well read, very knowledgeable in all fields. They were the great traders of the world. They were the great geography specialists or mappers of the world. We know of Ibn Khaldun, who traveled to so many places in the Muslim world and also in the other countries. And he mapped out and developed the knowledge about the geography of the world. That was during the period of the great Muslim civilization. But somehow or other, we are not as advanced as the European nations now. And I had always been very interested to find out why. And I decided that of course it is because whereas we are very advanced in the teachings of our religion, we are not so advanced in terms of our knowledge of many other subjects, such as the sciences, mathematics, geography, history, architecture, and the rest. We are far behind, and we are dependent upon the Europeans for the knowledge and the skills in these fields. Indeed, we depend upon them even to defend ourselves. To defend the Ummah, we depend upon the Europeans. And sometimes the Europeans are not very friendly towards the Ummah. So we really cannot expect them to be defending us. And this is so because somehow or other we are behind in fields which are regarded as secular, as in our words, dunya, about this world, knowledge about this world. I felt that this is wrong. This term secular comes from the Europeans. In their civilization, there was a time when the church was more powerful than the monarch. Of course, this makes the monarch very unhappy because there were even instances when the priest made the monarch crawl in order to seek his blessings and his forgiveness. So naturally, the monarchs and the church were at loggerheads. And then there came this definition that the church was about the spiritual life of the Europeans, whereas the monarch represents the non-spiritual life, the life that they experience daily. And this they describe as secular and religious. The two are separate. They are not part of the same thing. They are separate. and there was a clash between them, and eventually the secularists won, and so the church lost its power largely. The secularists were regarded religion as not a part of their lives. That religion is personal, is about themselves, and has nothing to do with the administration, with the running of the country. This is the European or the Christian view of life, that is divided between the secular and the religious. But although I'm not religiously educated, I do read a lot about religion. I read it in English and in Malay, because I can read it in Arabic. In fact, I completed the Quran when I was 12 years old, khatam, but I couldn't understand a word of it. So the Quran is said to be the guide. The provision of guidance for Muslims is the Quran. But if you don't understand the Quran, how do you get guided? If, for example, you are lost somewhere and you ask a person the way and he talks to you in a language that you don't understand, obviously you are not going to find your way. So I decided that I should read the Quran in English and in Malay. People say that this is not the Quran. I said, okay, it's not the Quran. But I asked them, will you teach me religion? Will you teach me in Arabic or in Malay? They said, they teach me in Malay. Now, how do you know that the translation you give me is the correct translation? I should learn it in Arabic, but I don't understand Arabic. So if the Quran is, we use the Quran in the English and the Malay language, I think we are able to understand more about the teachings of the Quran, the teachings of Islam. And the Quran provides us with guidance. And I must admit that reading the Quran in Malay and English has provided me guidance through much of my life. Certainly it provided me guidance during the time when I was Prime Minister and was able to decide on things.